If a country wanted to spy on you during the Cold War, they would pick a suitable person, give them a fake identity, and send them across the border. By the 2000s, countries were skipping the person entirely and instead using malware. The malware could sneak past your security from the other side of the globe. In February 2026, Iranian intelligence combined both ideas: a fake identity combined with sophisticated malware, giving them the trust to get past the defenses of a US bank, an airport, and a defense contractor without triggering a single alarm. The operation belonged to a group called Seedworm, a hacking unit run by the Iranian government. And this wasn't your typical smash and grab. Seedworm moved in, settled down, and stayed for weeks without anyone noticing. By the time Broadcom's research team exposed them, the US had already started dropping bombs on Iran, and the digital fuses were lit long before the first one landed. And in the center of it all was one person, and her name was 𝗷cie𝗶ₐ. Amy wasn't your everyday kind of person. She was special. Amy didn't have a face or a heartbeat, but she had something better: a digital certificate. And that was all she needed. A digital certificate works like a notary stamp. When a software company releases a program, they get it signed. That signature tells every computer that it downloads it: this software is genuine and verified, trusted. Your computer sees the stamp, checks the contents of the program, and lets it through. No questions asked. In Amy's case, she signed the two brand new backdoors: Dindor, which showed up inside the bank, a Canadian nonprofit, and the Israeli branch of a US aerospace and defense software company, and FakeSet, that landed on the airport's network, and another nonprofit. Both of them phoned home to Backblaze, a perfectly ordinary cloud storage service. Because why rent a sketchy server in a basement when Amazon's neighbors will host your command and control server for you? Seedworm now had the front door. Getting inside was the easy part. Staying invisible once they were in, that's where the real operation started. Once Seedworm were inside, they did something counterintuitive. They barely touched anything they'd brought with them. From that point on, they ran the entire operation with software the company in the target organization already had installed and trusted. This is what malware developers called living off the land. Starting with the defense company, Seedworm's backdoor, Dindor, ran through Dino. This is a JavaScript runtime. The engine the company was running as a daily driver. It blended in perfectly. When they found files were stealing, instead of building a custom extraction pipeline, they opened rclone, the same backup tool the IT department used to sync files to the cloud, and pushed everything to a 𝗷cie storage bucket. Because apparently, even state-sponsored hackers comparison shop for the cheapest cloud provider. Jumping from one machine to another was even simpler. They logged in through Screen Connect, the same remote access tool the company's help desk used to fix printer issues on Tuesday afternoons. If an analyst had been watching the network traffic in real time, every single one of Seedworm's actions would have looked like an employee doing their regular job. At that point, no security team on Earth would have flagged Seedworm's activity. Every trace they left looked like authorized work. They could have stayed there for months, but one of their fake identities had a history, and that history was already on file. 𝗷cie𝗶ₐ had a partner, a ghost like her, Donald Gay. While Amy was clean, with no activity or prior connections to anything linking her back, Donald wasn't. Donald reused something that Amy never did. Researchers found two copies of FakeSet, one signed by Amy's certificate and the other signed by Donald's. Under the hood, the code was nearly identical. That alone meant nothing. But when researchers ran Donald's certificate against their database, it came back with a match, finally connecting the dots to the same operation. That exact certificate had already been signed a known Seedworm malware called 𝗷cie𝗶ₐ. Donald Gay had used the same identity twice. The first time he got away with it. The second time, he helped researchers connect the dots between the February 2026 operation and every Seedworm campaign that came before it. That match sent researchers down a rabbit hole that went far deeper than a single certificate. Seedworm already had a file, and it was a big one. In 2022, the FBI CISA, US Cyber Command, and the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre all published a joint advisory on the group confirming that Seedworm wasn't some freelance crew. Rather, it takes orders directly from Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, the MOIS. Every target Seedworm hits is an assignment handed down by Iranian intelligence leadership. This group has been active since 2017, and every security company that finds them gives them a new name. Broadcom calls them Seedworm. Microsoft calls them the Mango Sandstorm. Other teams have logged them as Muddy Water, Static Kitten, Mercury, Temp Zagros, and TA450. Some names you may have heard of. 6 names for the same crew. Because for years, nobody realized they were all chasing the same group. Donald's certificate was the kind of thread that tied all those names together. And once researchers pulled it, the full picture came into focus. An intelligence operation run by a government inside US infrastructure, weeks before a war nobody knew was coming. And the timeline is where the story stops being an intelligence report and turns into something else entirely. On March 5th, Broadcom's Semantic team published everything: the backdoors, the certificates, the fake names, the tool use, all of it. And when analysts across the industry started reading the report, one detail stuck out from everything else: the dates. Seedworm's activity on those networks started in early February. The US and Israel strikes on Iran started on February 28th. That meant Iranian intelligence had been sitting inside a US bank and a US airport for weeks before the first missiles were even loaded onto a jet. Nobody at those organizations had any idea. The war ripped the curtain off an intrusion that had been running quietly underneath the everyday noise of employees checking emails and boarding flights. Bridget O'Gorman, the lead researcher on the case, told reporters her team had disrupted the intrusions they'd found. But she also said that other organizations could still be compromised and have no idea. This is not something you want to hear, because the difference between a group like Seedworm spying on you and destroying everything is a single command. One instruction and the operation flips from copying files to wiping systems. The victim wouldn't see the switch happen any more than they saw the espionage. Buried in a separate report, Group IB flagged something from a Seedworm operation that started in January, just weeks earlier. Some of the code patterns in Seedworm's newer tools look like they'd been written with AI assistance. The people building these tools are likely building them with the same technology sitting on your phone or laptop right now. The toolbox is building and upgrading itself. If the Seedworm team had been more careful and not reused Donald's certificate, this story may have looked very different. If they'd only used a fresh certificate instead of recycling one from a previous job, the security teams would have probably still found the malware, but they'd never have traced it back to Iran. They would have cleaned up the backdoors, and the whole thing would have just gone down as another anonymous breach. Instead, Donald's recycled certificate connected the dots all the way back to the Iranian intelligence, and a routine malware cleanup became a cybersecurity headline.